Hello everyone, I am Prince Gupta. I work as a senior research associate at CUTS International. Today I have with me Ms. Gowree Gokhale, who is a partner at Nishith Desai Associates, and she's the head of TMT. She has a practice of more than 26 years on varied transactional advisory and litigation roles in the TMT space. She has focused on gaming regulations also for the past 15 years, and she has also done a LLM in consumer protection law. So welcome Gauri to CUTS Adda. So Gauri, I'll like to pose my questions to you on the online gaming space. So I have seen that there are various stories looming around of the lack of consumer protection in the space. Uh, Players are suffering from different aspects, and different stakeholders such as gaming companies, self-regulatory bodies, and government, different stakeholders are there. So what do you think is the best way forward to ensure that a consumer protection is there?
Thanks for this opportunity, Prince. And I really appreciate, over a period of time, I've seen the way CUTS has been working across various segments, in terms of, ensuring consumer protection. So thanks for this opportunity. Now, coming to your question. So I'm not saying that today there are no laws. Of course, there are consumer protection laws. The first being the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, which now has specific rules on e-commerce. You have ASCII guidelines that came in during the pandemic, because of course there was a need felt of having us advertising guidelines by the Advertising Standards Council of India, right? Which now if you see MIB is actively trying to enforce. The third, of course, the RBI guidelines when it comes to payments, right? The payments to be made by the consumers. There are norms of RBI for digital payments, because of course digital payments is the baseline for your online gaming, right? So of course there are laws around that. Then you also have things like PMLA. Now the government is looking at in the anti-money laundering laws how whether the online gaming operators or the gaming industry should be included clearly in that regime, right? So some of these things do exist, but what are the additional things required, which in my view today there are about three self-regulatory bodies. I'll not call out names here, but there are three self-regulatory bodies which are having certain self-regulation for measures of consumer protection. The difficulty is that today nobody says that you mandatorily have to be a member of a self-regulatory body, right? So in that context, it is important that some law says that. But what are the things that are required for consumer protection? Number one, the most important thing, whether the games that are being offered by the online operators are indeed games of skill. Because today you will see there are games out there in the market which are borderline skill or chance, or clearly skill or a game of chance, or clearly games of chance, right? And even then those are being operated. Who's watching this space? Nobody, right? Secondly, transparency, right? The rules of the games, how will the playings and winnings will happen? What is the fee structure? Whether your software is appropriate or not, right? Because the Supreme Court also has said if it's a tampered software, then the game can be viewed as a game of chance, right? There are no bots. The employees are not playing, and if they are playing, then there is a declaration that the employees are playing on the in your room, whatever, right? Online room. So these are the measures from a transparency perspective, right? Which nobody is calling out except the self-regulatory bodies. The third is protection of player funds. When I'm putting in, say, 10 rupee to play a game of skill, say Rummy, 2 rupee may be going to the platform as commission, but 8 rupee is the kitty, which should go to the winner, right? So whether people are protecting that player fund, that means are there escrow mechanisms? As I said, all these measures are in self-regulation, but it is not the fly-by-night operators. If they want to come and sort of have their business and disappear, nobody is watching them whether they are implementing these measures or not, right? So protection of player funds. Third, of course, advertisements is addressed to some extent, but we need to have more to be done in that space, right? Then the next one is of course excessive gaming. I'm not going to use the word addiction because it's a very subjective thing, and when I say excessive gaming also it is subjective, but at least I can set my limits. I can self exclude, right? I can put my daily limits on time and money that I can put in. So there are mechanisms where, you can structure that online, by keying in whatever your limits are. Only by setting the limits is this sufficient, or you need counseling, right? Maybe the next step is to ensure that there are counseling measures available by these platforms, right? So as you progress, from a nascent industry to a mature industry, you need to be more responsible now, more accountable, right? And that is where I feel that, some kind of structure. I'm not saying that the government has to, write this down last to the T. You can leave it to self-regulatory bodies to come up, with specific guidelines, because different gaming, games may require different level of, measures, right? So, for example, some games can be played only on a particular day, right? Say fantasy. Those measures will be different than the games that can be played, so any time of the day. The other, and grievance redressal. Of course, you have Consumer Protection Act. Of course, you have now Central, Consumer Protection Authority. But one should realize that some of these industries which are very niche, you need a specialized application of mind, right? Why do you have specialized laws? Why do you have specialized tribunals? Because those tribunals will understand the industry better. They will be able to address the consumer interest better and in a targeted manner. All this, of course, from a consumer perspective, is extremely important in my view.
I think that was very insightful, Gauri. You answered both the regulatory framework aspect and the consumer protection aspect. Thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you.